Peace, family. Peace, peace, peace. Come on in. Get in the room. Let's work. We're going to break down this whole world of tax deed. This will be a good one. This will be a good live. It will be very informative. We're going to talk about the whole world of tax deed investing, what it offers, what's the difference between tax deed investing, what's the difference between tax lien investing, everything. We'll be breaking that down on this live. So you are right on time. You are in the right place. You may want to take notes, even, right? And I'll talk about a little bit of how we stumbled, and I lightly say that, stumbled into this arena of tax deed investing. This is where the Acre Boys did get their first start of dealing with land. Our first encounter came through tax deed investing. It was recommended to us that we look into this space called tax deed investing. Previously, before, I had no knowledge of the space, and it's been very lucrative to us. Once we picked it up, we've now been engaged in the tax deed space for the past 10 years. We've been teaching others how to do it now for the past 4 years, and many of our students are doing excellent in tax deed investing. The one thing that I personally love about tax deed investing is that it allows the individual to get started where they are, to get started where their budget allows them to start. Because money, especially in our culture, sometimes is a hindrance. Usually, most of the time, it's a hindrance of why we can't get going, right? No excuses, though, because I do play for that team, no excuses. So I don't let people off the hook. You don't have it, find it, go get it. That's me. I'm hard nosed. You don't have it, figure out a way to go and get it. The same way we figure out everything else, right? But we've identified places that everyday people can get started in this world, in this tax deed space. $500, $600, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. If you don't have those kind of denominations in your bank account, then we probably can't help, right? We just can't. It doesn't get any cheaper. This is real estate. Land is real estate. And this does range all the way from those denominations that I just mentioned, and it can go as high as millions and millions of dollars, as many of you may know. So let's break down what tax deed investing is. So every year, millions and millions of people that own properties, whether that's a house or whether that's a piece of land, you're responsible for paying taxes on your property. Every year, millions and millions of individuals, they fail to pay their taxes on their property, whether that's a house or whether that's a piece of land. It works this way. County, state, or local municipality, they'll send a notice out via mail. These days, some will even email along with the mail and say, "Dear homeowner, your taxes are due. Please pay." When the owner of that property fails to adhere or take care of the notice, it'll move to the next phase. This is a process. They don't just take properties in a month or two. They'll send out several notices. This can go on for months, right? And once they don't pay, eventually they'll put a lien on the property. Phase one, they'll put a lien on the property. Then once they don't pay after that, they'll foreclose on the property. Then the county or the state becomes the owner of the property, right? I was just reading something, so stay with me. But the owner, what we are unaware of is that once the county or the state takes the property back, they are not in the business of owning properties. They are in the business of doing what? Collecting taxes. Why is that so important to them? Because tax paying dollars is how every county in America functions, i.e., your school budgets, sanitation departments, and everything that your county that you're sitting in right now, everything that your taxes you pay go toward. The more healthier the budget, the more healthier your economy, your financial economy in your county. So they're eager to get it back in the ecosystem of our taxpayers' hands so that county financial budget is thriving. Naturally, that should make sense to the listener. So what happens is they'll do something that's called a tax sale auction to get properties that's on their books off the books. They'll have a tax sale auction. Let's dive in. Depending on your state, that depends on what kind of auction they would have. There's 3 types of auctions that go on. And we'll be teaching this in totality. Comment the word bootcamp. Comment bootcamp. July 2nd is going down. We'll be teaching this in totality July 2nd. So comment bootcamp to make sure that you are an attendee, to make sure you come and get the full gamut of what this spectrum offers, right? Get yourself in the room. This is how you go up, by showing up. So comment bootcamp or click the link that you see on the screen. If you are on Facebook or if you are on YouTube, the link is in the comments. If you are on Instagram, it should be a link on the screen, or you can comment bootcamp. Let me write that because I don't want you to say you didn't know. Comment bootcamp to join, and I'll pin that. All right, it's pinned. Comment bootcamp to join. So now they're eager to get it in the taxpayers' hands so you can pay and they can get it off the books, as I was stating. But what most of us are unaware of is they offer these properties for huge discounts. Why? Why do they offer them for huge discounts? Just for the reasons that we just stated for the past 5 minutes. Because they don't want to own properties. They want to collect taxes on the properties. They do not care what the property goes for. Some counties dig a little deeper than others, but for the most part, they're not going out and assessing and getting values on what properties are that came back from forfeited taxes. Higher counties, what I mean higher counties, counties that, are doing really well and, they have $500, $600, $700,000 houses. Yeah, they're not letting those go for 10% on the dollar. They're just not, right? I've never seen that. I've never seen at a tax sale auction, if the area is going for $1 million, they don't let those go for 10% on the dollar. They don't, but they may let them go for 50% on the dollar. So it's still a deal. Rural markets, 10% on the dollar, 8% on the dollar, 12% on the dollar. Bad areas, 10% on the dollar, 12% on the dollar, 15% on the dollar, 20% on the dollar. Why is that important, right? You heard me say bad areas. What's a bad area? What's your definition of a bad area, right? What is your definition of a bad area? Because if people live there, my definition of how we do the business is bad area or good area. All I care about one thing. Are there sales going on in that area? That's it. If things are moving, that's called days on market. If things are moving, that's my definition of a good area or a bad area when it comes to land investing. I don't care how nice the houses are. I don't care how bad the houses are. Are sales going on in the area? What are the days on the market? How long are things sitting on the shelf? How long are they taking to get sold? That's all we concern ourselves with. So when people say bad areas, I don't know what a bad area is. Because if the houses are nice and I want to invest in there to flip money over or flip properties over and there's no sales going on in it, then you're going to wait. And the name of the game in this is speed for me, right? For me. Your investment strategies may be different. Let's break that down. Because from a tax lien perspective, they're not necessarily in a rush to flip money over. The tax lien world is different from the tax deed world. We don't teach liens because most new investors, you don't have the kind of money set aside to play the lien game. The lien game is if you buy or win the bid and you become the lien holder of a property, they'll pay you a percentage for becoming the lien holder. That percentage can range anywhere from 6% all the way up to 35%. Let's put it to the max. And if you're playing at an auction where the max percentage is being paid, which is somewhere around 35, 36%, it's probably going to be a crowded auction. Why? Because that's the max, right? But let's just say that things were available for you to get and they were going to pay you 35% on your money. Let's just say that, right? If you're buying a deed or a lien for $2,000 and they're paying you 35% on $2,000, it's not a lot of money, right? The big boys play the lien game because they'll pull up to an auction where they're selling liens where potentially someone have failed to pay their taxes on their home in a nice county. Then a lien was placed on it, right? Homes are going for $300,000. Taxes on the home are anywhere between $4,000 and $12,000, depending on the county. They didn't pay taxes in 2 years. Now they're fell behind anywhere from $4,000 to $12,000, right? The bigger boys, they'll put that kind of money down, $20,000 for the lien, $50,000 for the lien, $100,000 for the lien, because these are cash. You have to have cash on hand. Now, 35% on 100,000 is different from 35% on 2,000. That makes sense? So the lien game is just as effective, except that if you don't have the kind of money to feel it, then you won't feel it, is what we're saying. So the deed game, once you become the winner of that bid and you receive the deed, you then can do whatever you want to do with the property, whether you want to utilize it or what the Acre Boys do, we flip it back on the market. You heard me mention 10% on the dollar, 15% on the dollar. When we're flipping it back on the market, this is why I said when it comes to bad areas, we just need to know, are things moving in that area? Because if there are, we'll look into that market and we'll see at what price point it's moving at or selling at. Then that lets us know the potentiality of what we can make in that market. So this is why we teach deeds, because it's faster to receive the deed or the bid or become the owner and get money to your bank account. Max profits to your bank account, right? So we focus on deeds because we understand that most of us probably don't have cash on hand ranging from $20,000 to $200,000. And the name of the game is not to do one deal. The big boys, they're buying 5 and 6 liens at a time, $50,000 a piece, $100,000 a piece. If you have that kind of money, I suggest that you play that game. It's called mailbox money. Every 6 months, every 8 months, whatever the time period that county pays out, you know that whatever that percentage that yields from that lien, it'll be in the mailbox. That's why they call it mailbox money. You put out $200,000, they're paying you 15% on your $200,000. The bank will never pay that much. All right. And tax liens have what they call a 99 percentile redemption rate. What does that mean, Ray? That means that 99% of the time, if you buy a good property and it's a tax lien, 99% of the time, the homeowner comes and they'll pay back the back taxes on it that's owed. They don't want to lose their properties. That's why they big boys play in nice neighborhoods, because if they never come back, what happens at that point? You become the owner of the house or the land. Make sense? So both places are very lucrative. And the third state or third thing that these states do, some is what's called a redemption auction. What's a redemption auction? Redemption auction just simply means that your state starts off, Georgia does this, starts off as a lien. Then there's a time period that's allocated for the homeowner to come back and redeem or pay back the taxes before it turns into a deed. If that time period expires, it then turns into a deed. Arizona does that. Redemption state. So these are I call it the three-headed monster that you have to be aware of. These are what you should know. You should know how all three work, whether you're playing in it or not. Well, not whether, because if you're not playing in it, you don't need to know. But if you are playing in it, you should know about all three of those things. Why should you know? Because I see new investors that we teach this, they focus on tax deed states, but sometimes if you dip your head into a tax lien state, they have a list of properties that have went from liens to deeds. I'll explain. Case scenario. Investor inside of our community, South Carolina is a lien state, but there's an auction. There's an auction in South Carolina that'll sell it to you as a deed. That means that if they're selling it as a deed, and by law, right, under the statute of South Carolina, it's a lien state. How did it turn into a deed? So what happens is there's a family, wealthy family, they're smart too. They turned this into a business. They go out to the auction and they buy all the liens because they could. And then they sell the liens themselves to the general public. So they're acting as a middleman from the county auction to the general public. They'll buy all the liens. Then they'll sell them to the general public. If they don't sell in a certain amount of time, they then, I explained it to you, it turns into what? Then it turns into a deed. So our investor, she caught a steal. South Carolina, from a deed standpoint, in a really nice neighborhood. I don't even know how it slipped through the cracks. It's like when I see things coming from an auction, right? And it's really nice, it makes me really question it at that point. Because I always say, how and why did someone lose a property to forfeited taxes in a really nice neighborhood? New people, they just get excited. I reverse it. Why, if it's so nice, were they just waiting for the Acre Boys to find it? I doubt it. But, however, we've seen it happen time and time again. Sometimes things slip through the cracks. That's why you have to be in the game. That's why you have to be on the field to be the receiver of those fortunate benefits. She found the property for 15 grand in $1 million neighborhood, piece of vacant land, 15 grand. She bought it for 15 grand as a tax deed. She bought it to me to evaluate it on our weekly training calls. I evaluated the property and I just knew that I'd find something wrong with it. I couldn't find anything wrong with the property. She went on to go in person, her and her team. She's more of an experienced investor, right? By the way, they went out there and they contacted soil analyst guy and they asked questions. They contacted the county to make sure it was a buildable lot and everything checked out. She was going to build on the property, but decided to sell it just as vacant land. And the starting point, she now has it on the market, newly listed for $75,000. So she paid 15, sell for 75,000, right? So excellent, excellent deal for a tax deed investor. What is that? That's a potential profit of $60,000. Average American only makes 50-something thousand dollars. So off of that one tax deed, she has created, that's why I always say, position yourself to win. She didn't sell it yet. It hasn't sold, but she has positioned herself to make max $60,000. Now, somebody's saying, well, it didn't sell, because you're right. You would be accurate. We can list things for whatever we like to. Doesn't mean that people are going to buy at that price. But however, if she bought for 15 and had the audacity to list it for 75, how far do you think she's off? Do you think people are just waking up, rolling out of their bed, and don't know anything about the markets they're playing in? I say that to say that even if it doesn't sell for 75, let's say it sold for 60, she still positioned herself to make a quick 45,000. Let's say it sold for 50. And one thing that I do know is unless something is wrong with it, it will sell. Unless something is wrong with it, it won't sell for anywhere near the price that she listed it. But if there's nothing wrong with it, it'll probably, because we always leave room. That's something that we teach. We always bump up a little bit on the price because we expect people to knock the price down. That's just how the game goes. So we always leave room for offers to come in. So even if they knock her down, discounted by 20 grand. Are you mad if you sold for 50, you paid 15? I wouldn't be. I'm in, I'm out, I'm on to the next deal. I identify a market, I identify an auction that works for me. I'm on to the next. That's me. All right. Comment Bootcamp first and foremost. Get yourself in the room. Only thing that we promise when we do these trainings, only thing that I promise. Anybody that's on the call that have ever came to one of our trainers can attest to this. Only thing that I promise is that we'll give all the information. We'll give all the game. That's it. That's the only thing I promise. I can't promise you that you're going to go on and be an excellent tax deed investor. I can't promise you that you're going to go on and you're going to make X amount of dollars. I don't know your work ethic. I don't know what you're going to do with the information. Only thing we guarantee is that we'll be there and we'll give you all the information to get you started and send you on your way as a tax deed investor. That's the only thing that we stand on. All right, what else do we need to know? This industry has been around a long time. So my advice would be, if you're new to this and you're thinking about coming into any space, do some homework on it. This is not new. Acre Boys are not geniuses. We didn't come up with this. In fact, this is quite old. They've been selling tax deeds. They've been doing tax sale auctions forever. It's just that culturally, who's always late to the party? We're late to the party. Culturally. Again, it's been told to us by other ethnicities that you're teaching too much. Because in fear of more people knowing about it, and I'll tell you an auction that once it got kind of popular because a lot of people had started teaching about it, a lot of people outside of this culture. So 10 years ago, when we first got involved, I took mentorship. I didn't know about this. My mama didn't teach it to me. I didn't go to college for it. I saw an online course, same way like we teach. I saw someone offering to teach it, and I paid them, and I came into their ecosystem, and they taught us. First place that they told us to invest in was Arkansas. Never been to Arkansas. I've never even looked into Arkansas. I've never cared to do business in Arkansas based upon my mentality and my surroundings. However, Arkansas was an area, this particular area was an area that they deemed to be a bad area. In that bad area, within 2 to 3 years, I went on to make a couple of $100,000 in that bad area. How did I do that? Because at the time when Arkansas was having that auction, Arkansas used to have something where it was called, they had their own personal time frame to sell property, meaning that they had a list of properties, a lot of properties, and the properties had price points next to them. This is coming, I'm telling you what their auction used to work. And it'll be for $5,000 they want for this property, $4,000 for this property, $6,000 for this property, $2,000 for this property. If they didn't sell it on their list in a certain time frame, it will drop down into a section that they would call the green section. And once properties hit the green section, no matter if they were 5,000 or 10,000, they allowed you to offer any price that you wanted to offer once it hit the green. Once I found that out, what did I decide to do? I just started waiting for properties that I was interested in to hit the green, because I've tested all price points with them. I went as low as offering $25 for the properties, and they said no. They said, no, we won't accept $25. They declined to offer. So I got smart and I said, well, I'll double up the offer. And I offered $50. And boom, they accepted. Once I found out that I was able to buy those same properties for $5,000, same properties that was $10,000 that they were asking for $50, it was a gold mine. So the bad area, it was Little Rock, Arkansas, which at one point was the murder capital. One thing I tell you about Little Rock, Arkansas, still to this day, if you go on Zillow and pull up comps and what's happening in Little Rock, Arkansas, I don't care what you feel about it. I don't care what you think about it. I don't care how you think it looks, smell, sound, all the activity in it. One thing that's consistent in that area, in that marketplace, is there's sales going on. There's movement in that area. Things are for sale. Things are constantly being sold in that area. And it's been that way for the past 10 years, and it has increased. So now, what's a bad area? So when people say, oh, it's a bad area, I would never buy there, I don't listen. I don't go probably judge it the way that you judge it. I don't have a personal attachment to it. If people live there and sales are going on in that area, it's not a bad area to me, especially when I'm getting the properties for $50, right? People couldn't offend me with an offer. I listed for $4,000. They offer me $2,000. For the art of negotiation, I'll say, let's do $2,500. I'm in at $50. I had one guy get smart with me and say, man, I know you only paid $50 for it. I said, so? Well, you go pay $50 for it. If not, my price is $3,500. We end up selling it for $2,800. If you know how to do it, then go do it. Don't knock my hustle, is all I'm saying. Because the same properties that you look at on the market right now, do you think that if the sale price is going for $20,000, do you think that they paid $20,000 for it? No. People sell things to make money. You just need to be on the side of the money-making side. You just need to know how to get it at the prices so you can be the one selling it and not the one buying it. You need to be the wholesaler. That's all I'm saying. And we're teaching you how to be on the other side of it. Because if you knew, I'm assuming that you'll be doing it. I'm assuming that you'll be doing it. I'm not going to even say if you could use the money. We all could use extra money. It's just cold hard facts. So the other thing that I love about the space is because it allows us to create an extra avenue or another avenue to always have a chance to bring in more or additional resources. Me, myself, I see some people that probably heard me speak before. I'm always talking about money and why we don't have daily conversations about money. I promise you, if you're on this live right now, you log on to social media on a daily basis, but you don't have a daily conversation about money. Make it make sense. So we're saying, here's an opportunity or an avenue or a space that's been around for since the beginning of time, tried and tested, that you can tap into. How many auctions go on through the year? Don't take my word. Go do a ChatGPT on it. Go Google it up. It's all year long, which means that you would have the potential or yes, you would have the potential to go out and make money all year long. And guess what? You don't need 10 auctions to play in. You just need to identify 2 or 3 that work for you. You won't buy all of it. Trust me, you won't. Because if you had that kind of money to buy, even the big boys won't buy all of it. There's a lot of properties out there. You won't buy it all. But however, it'll always be there, is what I'm saying. Other beautiful thing is we do this from home. We do this from a virtual standpoint. I don't know how many properties I bought from a tax sale auction, but I do know that I've never been. If you like to go to the in-person auction, go. I'm not saying nothing is wrong. I'm saying that the in-person, well, here's what you'll get. So you have a full understanding. At the in-person auction, you probably would get better properties. You'll get the cream of the crop properties at the in-person auction, right? That's just an actual fact. But in-person auctions, first you have to get there, right? Then you have to compete. Typically at the in-person auction, that's when you're going to find a crowd of people, and you have to have money on hand. Each one is different. Some will give you 24 hours to get it in. Some will give you 48 hours to get it in. All right. Now, is what's left from the in-person auction, is that land valuable is the question. Or is that those properties valuable is the question. Absolutely it is. Because we never know what happens at the in-person. What if nobody showed up? What if they didn't have the money? What if they didn't sell? So it just gets pushed to the repository list. What's the repository list? That's properties that go back on the books that they sell online. That's the repository list for a discounted price. Sometimes it's the same price. Sometimes it's a further discount. Like Michigan, which that auction is coming up. You should be there. You should know about it. Michigan does something that most auctions don't do. They'll have a general auction. At the end of the auction, anything that didn't sell, they'll allow you to bid with opening price of $100. I didn't say it'll stay at $100. Let's talk about that. How does the bid go? There's several types of bids, right? You have an eBay style bid, which many of you may know about. Why do we call it an eBay style? Because it does the same thing like eBay. There'll be a price that opens up. You'll have the opportunity to bid on that price. There'll be a time clock that goes down or some days. By the times they get down, the highest bidder will be the winner. That's an eBay style auction. Then the other auction, the kind that I like, is the one first come, first serve. That's it. Those are the ones that I like. They tell you the price of the property. If you're the first person to get your offer in, you are the first person to get the property. Those are the ones that I focus on. I don't like eBay style auctions. I've done them all. Why don't I like eBay style auctions? I don't have the time to sit and watch and wait for it to go down to the final marker. I don't have that kind of time. So I rather find markets that allow me to show the price point of the property. I say, I do my homework on it. I want it. I go to the bank. I get my check and I send it in. So I gave a lot of game on this, but we're going to give more game with illustrations on July 2nd. If you're listening, clearly you can see I know what I'm talking about, because it is social media, right? Comment Bootcamp. If any of this makes any sense to you, comment Bootcamp. Get yourself in the room. Don't cheat yourself. Treat yourself. Somebody had the nerve to say on the comment, he said to me, after I comment Bootcamp, what's the price for your come up? Price for my come up? Trust me, what we're offering for this class, this boot camp, it's not a come up for me. Absolutely not. I can do one tax deed and make just as much money. This is not a come. So my response to him was, actually, it's a come up for you. Trust me. I know what's going on in the space. I know about the teachers of the space. Go out and ask what the other people price points are. then come back to me. Go out and try to learn from somebody else, another culture, then come back to me, and then complain about the price point, or pay them and then see if they teach it the same way that I give it to you. I promise you there's a second phase and there's a second price point. Promise you that. But I'm not here to persuade you. I only want who want me anyway. That's it. This is simple. You don't want me, I don't want you. I like to be liked. And I'm fine either way. I just want us to know that there's options. And if you stopped on this page, clearly you know what the options are. Land. That's what we do. That's what we do the best. So if you're here, you need to get yourself in the room. You got to get off of social media. That's not where you're going to learn ultimately the fastest. If you're ready to get your hands, right? There's one thing to get information. You're going to get information on social media. You got information on this live. Once you're ready to start getting your hands in the pot and actually doing it hands-on, you got to come into the ecosystem. You have to show up to these boot camps. You have to start doing the thing, right? We got to get going. How much more information do you need? We have to get going. You're grown. You're over 30. You don't have the time. You have children. I don't even have to ask this. I know these things. I know who this message resonates with. Grown adults. That's why I did a post yesterday and said, if you're from the ages 30 through 60, why did I use 30 to 60? Because there's something that's called data. Our data states that the people we have over, I don't know, it's ironic. Across all social platforms, we have close to 1 million followers. In each platform, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the data says the same thing. That the age range that we cater to is from the ages 30 and 60. That's the core of the followers that we have. So that means that I'm speaking to grown adults. That's right, Trenda. Tell them. I need to highlight that comment. If you haven't taken the class, I should stand up and, really not. I appreciate that though, Trenda. We do all that we can do to help. Just go on. You know what? Like, we'll give it to anybody that want to be helped, because it's just information. What are you going to do with the information? If you do something with it and it helped, great. I love that for you. That's why we do it. I want you to win. And plus, I can't gatekeep something that's not mine. I don't own the auctions. It's not my land that they're selling. So how can I gatekeep it? I just know about it through experience. That's all I'm saying. They don't pay me to teach it or not to teach it. I just know about it from personal experience. That's it. I've been through it. So I'm just giving you my experience. That's it. Now, Trenda, who's a member, said, if you haven't taken the class, you should. I've learned a lot. Just finished a 6-week training with Ray and Jay. I'm on my way. In that 6-week training, I do have to speak about them. We had a great class that came in. I enjoyed them thoroughly. And we teach every Tuesday night. We had, for the past 6 weeks, we had a new class come in, and we taught them from the beginning to end of how to set the business up, how to evaluate things, where to go in next level investing or finding bigger deals. And it was very gratifying, even for us. I love that for us. I just like people that want to get somewhere. I love people that want to put some work in, because that's what it takes. It takes putting work in. It takes effort. It takes belief. It takes all of those things to win. And if you're culturally, if you look like me, the odds are already stacked against you. So we got to go double hard. We got to fight super hard. I had a picture in my phone of when I was, by the way, comment boot camp. Trenda, tell them to comment boot camp. Comment boot camp. Join July 2nd. Join that training class. Let me see if I could drop the comment again. I dropped it for Facebook and YouTube. The link in the comments. Click that link. Go get yourself checked out. If you're on Instagram, comment bootcamp or hit the link that's on the button. So I was combing through my phone, and when I was working, I was a stagehand. I was a union stagehand worker, and I found the picture that was in there. And the picture was me and 6 other workers. And I was the only black guy in my department. And I just remember thinking, and I had good coworkers, never had problems with them. They never had problems with me that I know about. But I just remember thinking that there's not a lot of room for error being the only. And I had to go a little harder than other people, like a lot harder. Right? I don't know if you know anything about the stagehand world. Stagehand world is where we set up shows, concerts. Any show that you see, stagehands set up those shows. Chris Brown show, Usher show, you name it. That's a union. Those are union stagehand workers, right? That was my employment. When you go to a concert, you'll see in the sky, you'll see lights, you'll see speakers, and all of those things. That was the department that I worked in. That's called the rigging department. We hang things up in the air. Rigging department, when there's a show, is the first to come in because things have to go up before the ground can start to do their work, right? When we're in the rigging department and we're hanging everything up, that at a concert, you have to be really careful first and foremost, because sometimes we're working 50 feet in the air, 70 feet in the air, sometimes 100 feet in the air. Just depends on what building, what stadium that we're at, right? Things can drop. If you drop things we're working with metal in the air. If you drop something, somebody can get seriously hurt. That's why you'll see stagehands wearing hard hats. I was in that department, and I'm not even a fan of heights. So I say that to say I was the only one in that department that looked like me. Only one. I can't even, it's just one of them things that happened. I had to be extra good. There was no room for error for me in that department. That's why I told that story, because if you find that there's any alternative ways for you, if you look like me, to feed yourself, you should take advantage of it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling you to even take it from me. I don't care what lane it is that we find. If it's something that you find to work for you to feed yourself, we have to go the extra mile. Actual fact. So when we do these things, these days, I'm not emotionally attached to your outcome. I care, but I'm not emotionally attached. This is simply an offer, and all I can do is put an offer out there for you to take advantage of. If you do, great. I'll give the information. I'm still not emotionally attached. You have to do something with the information. You have to execute on it. But there will be an offer for you to elevate and move forward in this space. So I want you to win. And the fastest way that you can win is borrowing someone else's experience, borrowing someone else's knowledge. That's the fastest way that we've identified to move the needle. If you have another philosophy, I'll be open to hear it. But that's the fastest way. How do you borrow someone else's experience? One, by showing up to seminars, showing up to classes, listening to seminars, reading books, and things of that nature. Jerome said, All the information on how to do a thing is in a book, but the people don't even want to go out and get a library card. All right, so we could talk forever. Tax deed investing is what we will concentrate on July 2nd. Last call, the bar is closing. Comment the word boot camp. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, I dropped the link in the comments. You can click on to the link. It'll take you straight there to get checked out. Get checked out. If you're on Instagram, the link should be on the screen or it is pinned to this post. Comment bootcamp and we'll register and you'll be in. He said, what time does it start? It starts from 7. It'll be from 7 through 9. It'll be a 2-hour boot camp from 7 through 9, right? We plan on stopping at 9, but if we go over while we're teaching, we go over. Most importantly, we should be able to get you going in that time frame. It's not our first rodeo. It's not our first class, but we're not the guys that say, hard stop, 9 o'clock, you got to go. So if you have questions, we make sure everybody is fulfilled and satisfied before we get off of those calls and things like that. So it's going to be an excellent, excellent training. You just need to be there. All right. I'm going to go out and try to enjoy the rest of my Saturday. Little work done today, and I think I'm going to shut it down. I think that's going to be it for this day. Peace, y'all. Love. Let me read one more. That Trenda said. Trenda told y'all. Trenda told me to tell y'all. Take advantage of this knowledge. Ray and Jay give so much information. It's not hard, and it comes with a support team to thrive. I couldn't have said it any better. Peace, y'all. Love.